What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. Hope you're all doing well. This is the Cleveland Post Podcast, episode 21, and this is an immediate reaction to the Cleveland Browns Week 8 matchup to the Las Vegas Raiders, where they lost 16-6. I was at the game. Jeff, you were watching it via Red Zone. I'll just skip my – oh, you know what, Jeff? How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. You think when the Browns are 5-3, you think when we're 5-3, you should be doing good. We're doing good, but we're not doing great, and that's the problem with being 5-3. That's the problem with AFC being so good. Thank God Tennessee lost. How are you doing?
I'm all right. That's a surprise that Tennessee lost to the Bengals.
Thank God.
I don't know how. I don't know, that loss to the Steelers really did something to them, but the Steelers still undefeated, beating the Ravens. They're looking like they're for real. So, but 16-6. So I guess we should just go over what our general thoughts are, because obviously we could get into specifics. But if I had to be honest, I'd say that injuries on the offensive side of the ball have really caught up to the Browns. I think it's very apparent that the run game doesn't work very well without Nick Chubb or Wyatt Teller, for that matter. We missed a little bit of Austin Hooper, our first game without Austin Hooper and Odell Beckham Jr. Very evident, but also I don't think there was a lot of room for us to be trying to throw the ball. The weather was awful. Sometimes the wind would really kick up and you could see the field goal post shaking. Hail would start to come down. It was really a really bad weather game, but at the end of that, we're the Cleveland Browns, and playing in Cleveland, you have to be used to that, and you have to kind of win those games against teams that are coming all the way from Las Vegas, sunny Las Vegas, to play these games. So obviously the offense didn't look good, but the defense is just so bad. It's literally going to be something that we just continue to harp on all season long until, even if we make trades, which I think there will be a trade. I don't know that it's going to be significant enough to turn this team around the way that it needs to be, because the defense just has so many holes, I think, as of this moment. Also has some injuries, but also, by the way, Myles Garrett getting an MRI on his knee. It was Jeff, you texted me in the middle of the game. I didn't respond to like a lot of your texts because my hands were freezing, so I had them in gloves and everything. But when you texted me where he was in the tent getting his knee checked out. But then he came out and played the rest of the game. He didn't play as many snaps. But Jeff, what was your thoughts on this game?
I mean, looking at the stats, I knew that we were pitiful on third down. We were pitiful on third down against the Steelers, and I mean that's just kind of the big theme here. I mean, we're 3 for 10 on third down, and Las Vegas, is 8 for 14. We're both 2 for 2 on fourth down efficiency. I think there's a couple plays here that really just the game's just kind of decided on those plays. The Jarvis touchdown.
I have 4 plays, but I want to hear your 4 plays, or I want to hear your plays.
I mean, the Jarvis touchdown, that's probably a good call that they called it incomplete, but in real time, I thought that was a touchdown. I thought Jarvis definitely caught that ball. I mean, you see in the replay that the ball's on the ground. So, I mean, good on the NFL for getting that right. And the Harrison Bryant fumble, I mean, I think those are your probably 2 biggest plays. I think Derek Carr and John Gruden collectively do a great job on third down today. And, I mean, just talk about terrible conditions. I know you were there, but that first field goal that the Raiders kicked was absolutely disgusting. I don't know if I've ever seen a football do that in my life. It probably moved 20 yards to the left from when I was looking at it. So, I mean, talk about terrible conditions, but they're coming all the way from Las Vegas. They're coming from warm weather, and, they show the stat pregame. They show that, 45 degrees? You weren't watching, but they showed the stat about the weather, and Baker's 6-0, and it's 45 degrees. It's 45 degrees or less before when the kickoff happens. Baker's 6-0 and Derek Carr's 1-10. So, I mean, that's your difference there. I don't know how we let the Las Vegas Raiders play that good, coming across
How
country on a short week. And then, I mean, that's just kind of, I think Harrison Bryant and your Jarvis Landry, not making that catch in the end zone is probably your biggest plays.
that is such a weird statistic. They really can make a statistic out of anything. That's incredible. Um, so yeah, those are two of my four plays that are the most costly in this game. The Harrison Bryant. I thought from my perspective, all the way up in the nosebleeds, when I watched that Harrison Bryant play, I was screaming my head off because I was like, what is Harrison Bryant doing? Because from my angle, it looked like he was reaching the ball out, like he was trying to get the first down, which I'm like, why are you doing that in the first drive of the game and like on a play or where the conditions are awful and the ball is all wet and it's more likely for a loose ball to come out, but you replay, you see it, and he's getting, he gets I think he gets knocked out of his arms. And then there are two plays before, well, not before, I don't know. It's hard to remember exactly when these plays were, but they're both third down plays. One where, Jeff, I think if I can describe this one, you'll know what I'm talking about. But there was the play where Baker and the offensive line bought like 5 to 10 plus seconds worth of time, just like moving around in the pocket, trying to escape from things. And he catches Jarvis coming back across the field, wide open, hits Jarvis in the hands, and Jarvis drops it. That's third and out.
Yep.
There's one. And then I think it was the drive right before our, like, the final 2 minute drive where, again, David Njoku is coming across the middle of the field, wide open, hits him in the hands. It's an easy first down catch. All he has to do is catch it, and he drops it, and we go 3 and out, end up giving up time and I think 3 points. So I think, and the fourth one's the Jarvis touchdown that got reversed, but it is what it is. Honestly, my biggest thing from this game is that you can tell the offensive line and the run game are just so stagnant without Nick Chubb in it. And it's really hard to, because again, no 100-yard rush for this game. There's a lot of things statistically, though, that, you pulled up, and I'm going to pull up right now. If you look at this stuff, it's just reasons why we lost this game. So like you were saying, third down efficiency, a lot of dropped passes by guys. There's no putting this on Baker today. Not at all. Baker had a lot of, I think Baker maybe threw 2 bad passes. He airmailed one over to Rashard Higgins on the sideline, and then he like underthrew one that was close to being intercepted, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, the total plays 71 to 47. Usually we're the team that has a surplus of plays, a surplus of running the clock. You can see here 37 minutes of time possession, 22. It's just the complete opposite of what we usually do. And this one was really costly, especially on the Ogunjobi sack, where they must have put Derek Carr 20 plus yards back, and then he got hit with the face mask. I mean, this team, it really just looked like we wanted to get into the bye week a week early, and it didn't come together in this game that was very winnable. I think anyone who watches this game maybe hopes that it was a sunny day and the conditions weren't like they were. So, but I don't know, Jeff. What did you, besides the 2 plays you rattled off, what were your remaining thoughts on the offense for right now?
So the offense, I mean, it's a combination of a couple things. Stefanski's calling these plays where Harrison Bryant's catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage. I don't know. I felt like the offensive play calling. I know it's raining. I know it's windy. I know you're not going to be able to pass the ball. I think Baker Mayfield actually has more yards in the air this game than Derek Carr by a little bit. That's kind of here nor there, but I don't know. I didn't love the play calling. I thought that this was going to be a game where Kareem Hunt was going to be much more involved. I felt like we were just, like you said, I felt like we were kind of working toward the bye week. Kareem Hunt goes out on a pretty big possession, and we see Dearness Johnson 1 or 2 run plays in a row. I mean, that's really not gonna cut it. And when I texted you and literally said, "Where's Myles Garrett?" He was in the tent. I know he's been dealing with that ankle injury. I know he's rolled it a couple of times, but we talked about this Raiders offensive line being serviceable, being able to keep Derek Carr, kind of contained in the pocket, but 101 passing yards and 122 passing yards, 101 from the Raiders and 122 from the Browns. But Baker at 12 and 25, I mean, that's not going to get the job done. And talk about just a couple of really bad drops. Landry had a bad drop and Njoku had a bad drop. I'm literally pointing first. I'm literally in the room pointing first down, and
they dropped the ball.
They were drops. So
there were a lot of easy ones. If I could go back and watch the entirety of the offensive possessions, I think so Baker went 12 of 25. I want to say that out of the 15, no, that's not right. My God, 13 that he missed. I want to say at least half of those were drops. Even the one with Jarvis dropping it in the end zone. So maybe like the upper half of the half are easy drop passes, and it's just such a shameful thing to have happen. But yeah, I mean, even Kareem, he didn't even get to rush that much. I mean, I don't know. This was you're right. The play calling was a little weird. I think Kevin was in a position of, I think he wanted to get Baker kind of going, and obviously he had some good plays, but I don't know. The play calling was weird. Maybe the weather really did affect what was going to happen and what they were going to call, but I just feel like consistently now, whenever we try to run the ball, our guys are just getting blown off the ball more often than not. I really feel like when we get our big runs, it's either because we do something to the outside or it's because Kareem is like legit just making something out of nothing.
I mean, I think honestly, Nick Chubb's injury aside, which is obviously detrimental to this team, I think Wyatt Teller is honestly bigger. I think Wyatt Teller kind of makes his offensive line go. I don't know why. It's never been like that before. I feel like we've had pretty average offensive lines at best in the past, but now it's kind of like, well, I feel like Nick Chubb is obviously a huge part of this offense. Odell Beckham Jr. is a huge part of this offense, but now it's kind of Kareem Hunt with no Wyatt Teller, and he's kind of, he's played average football. They've ran him out as a wide receiver, but I feel like he should have had way more rushing yards this game. I felt like he should have got in the end zone. The drops aside, I think Wyatt Teller is probably the biggest piece you're missing on offense. I'm even willing to say over Nick Chubb. I mean, I think if we have the best offensive line, we probably win this game. I think the Raiders' offensive line was a little bit better, and just a couple of things that don't go our way. I mean, we have the Harrison Bryant turnover, that the fumble that we don't recover, and we have 30 plus more yards and penalties than them. I mean, I think that's your story of the game. They win the turnover battle, and they limit the penalties compared to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and just to switch gears a little bit, obviously your points about Wyatt Teller and Nick Chubb are very correct, and I thought that even though the offense wasn't great, I still can't put this on them because I put it on the defense. First drive, they don't put up 3 points, but we should have had 6 points because Ronnie Harrison dropped the second of what would have been pick sixes.
Can we catch an interception? Can we catch 2 weeks in a row we dropped an interception? Go on.
Two super easy ones. I'm absolutely with you. Terrence Mitchell and Ronnie. Ronnie's, though, I mean, like, if he had caught that, it was a home run. That man's gone. The only person he's got to worry about is Derek Carr, and Derek Carr is not catching him. And then, there was the play where Derek Carr kept it on a maybe it was like an option or I don't know, a read. Anyways, he kept it, and Denzel Ward, doing what he does, trying to make something happen, strips him of it, and then none of our guys can end up on the ball. You know how you can tell that it's just a bad game defensively for us, outside of like Sendejo looking awful as always, is when Olivier Vernon is your best defensive player of the day. 2 sacks. Dude, 2 sacks. You got to give it to Olivier Vernon. 2 sacks.
They say he's on the trade block and he goes for 2 sacks. I mean, That's kind of crazy to me.
I feel like that happened last year too. I think
dude.
that happened last year. I think it was on the block, and then the week of when we
I
said that.
literally, I've literally been telling you all week long, Miles was going to be MIA, and I know their offensive line is good. I think Josh Jacobs has kind of been joked a little bit. I think he probably should have more yards. He should definitely have more touchdowns. But Miles Garrett, it's pretty apparent. Like you don't hear Miles Garrett's name this week. You
Yeah,
don't hear Denzel Ward's name this week. We lose.
yeah,
That's pretty.
absolutely.
That's the summary.
Yeah, I just again like there. I think for one, it might be play calling at this point. Even though I disrespect our linebackers every week. Like I even in that
We don't have
Washington
any.
game.
We don't have any.
Yeah, I mean the only one is Mac Wilson, and even then, I mean I love Mac Wilson, trust me, but he's still dealing with an injury. He came out and said he's still not 100%. Then my second favorite, Jacob Phillips, is still out with an injury. The one thing that I will say for the Browns that they've been trying to do that is no longer effective, especially with how things went this week, is they've been trying to rotate guys in and out. And we had times when we rotated guys in and out, they were running guys in and out, and it just looked like we didn't know what we were doing anymore. Like I could look at the sidelines and coaches were like screaming for players to come off and screaming for players to go on. They come over to the sideline, they get screamed at because they didn't know if they were supposed to be in or not. The defense just is so clueless right now. They look so clueless. Joe Woods, I don't know what he needs to do in terms of stopping the run because
He's
besides
lost. Joe Woods is lost.
yeah, but like I don't know. Like I understood that the biggest question, and it was so apparent throughout the whole offseason was, are you guys gonna pick up a linebacker? Are you guys gonna pick up a linebacker? And they just kept defending this young linebacker room with almost no one in it. Of like, granted, Mac Wilson wasn't hurt to start, but just no reputable, seasons behind them or anything. I wouldn't be surprised if the first three picks in next year's draft are linebackers. And I know I shouldn't even be talking about the draft right now, but it's just what it is. The linebackers are porous. They need to stop trying to run guys in and out all the time. If they have groups for specific plays, then know your situations and know what you need and have them just go in and out. But like you can't be trying to sub guys and give them breathers on drives where you need your best players and you need them to make plays and stuff. I understand that Miles was hurt, so we couldn't have that going for us. But Jeff, I think just moving forward right now, I got such a headache from just talking about the linebackers. Is there a player or a move that you would want to make before Tuesday, which is the trade deadline as of right now? I mean, do you want to make a move? And if so, for anyone or for a specific, player position?
I'm going to be honest with you. You've brought this up on Twitter, and I'm going to lament this fact because I know Greedy Williams is hopefully good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't even know what his injury is. He's got a nerve injury in his
Yeah.
shoulder. I'm going to be honest with you. Get Stephen Gilmore. If there's any chance we could get Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots, I think that's the move. I'll give up anybody. It sounds like OBJ is he's probably done in a Browns uniform,
Yeah.
50-50, maybe a coin toss. I kind of said that as soon as he went down that he might be done. I know that you claim that that's going to, upset Jarvis Landry. Hopefully we could all act in a business manner, but we need a defender. I don't care really who it is at this point. I think if we get another lockdown cornerback to kind of supplement what Denzel Ward has been doing, I think that's probably the best step in the right direction. Our safeties are bad. Our linebackers are worse. I don't even know. I think some weekends our linebackers are good. Some weekends they're below average. But I mean, just looking at the rest of the schedule, I mean, it's just kind of like we don't play that many bad offenses left. I mean, the Eagles, I mean, who knows what their offense is like. And the Jaguars, I mean, you could argue that the Jets offense isn't very good, but I mean, I've seen glimpses of that the Giants offense, probably could torch our defense. The Titans are good. The Texans are probably better than their record suggests. And we get the Ravens and the Steelers again. So, I mean, it's all fun and games, kind of making fun of our offense, so to say. I mean, you got your Baker haters and your, the people that don't think Baker's our franchise quarterback. I think that that's kind of out the window at this point. If our defense can't defend anyone, I know you have a Nick Chubb injury. I know you have an Odell Beckham Jr. Our best wide receiver is we have Austin Hooper injury. Who's our best wide receiver? Higgins.
Jarvis. I mean,
Jarvis.
Jarvis is treated as the number
Jarvis with a
one, but
broken rib. Jarvis with a broken rib is our number one wide receiver. Like I know that you probably that we're kind of missing pieces all over the place at this point, but I mean we're gonna get Chubb back, so I mean that's a plus. If we
I
have
feel like
Chubb, I
Chubb
think we
changes
win
so
this game.
much.
I think
Yeah.
if we have Chubb or Teller, I think we win this game. And just in general, I mean, I know we're lacking on the offensive side, but I'd rather add defensive pieces at this point in the season.
We're only lacking on the offensive side because of injuries, though. Like the only player you can name out there,
Literally have four offensive players injured.
yeah, two players on defense that you can name are Greedy Williams and Jacob Phillips.
Nah,
And Jacob,
Delpit.
you're right, but
We have four players hurt on both sides of the ball. Like
right,
5-3. I would have loved to have been 6-2 and win it. And me and you talked about defending First Energy. And
yeah.
when me and you talk holding the team to 16 points, I would really hope to win. But
Yeah, and that 16 points is like, and to say that we had 6 is like, it feels like it's so demeaning in a way that like if you don't watch that game, you're like, oh man, the offense must have sucked and the defense must have done its best to hold this team to 16. But it really isn't. It was the exact opposite. Again, I'll refer to the time of possession and the amount of plays. 71 plays to 47. 37 minutes for the Raiders and 22 minutes for the Browns. I
they
mean,
play better than us.
yeah, this is totally one of these games where you can go back and you can look at it and you can just say this is one of those ones that if you play it again, probably a different outcome.
If you
But
play in different weather, it might be a different outcome.
yeah,
And
that's my point. I think if we played in a different in like sunny conditions and everything, it could be a very different game. Guys don't
yep.
drop easy passes. Even the guys on the Raiders, there were some times that they dropped easy passes, but yeah, I mean, for me, Stephon Gilmore, if he's being sold and we don't have to give up too much for him, yeah, I'd be down for that.
If they're selling at the trade deadline, I mean,
Like if I have to give up Terrence Mitchell and like a late round pick or something, I'll do it. I'm sorry, Terrence. I love you.
Not very good.
You've kind of fallen off a little bit for some reason, and I hope the best, and I hope that you bounce back. But for our sakes, as of right now, you're on the team. But
I mean, I'll be curious. I'm extremely curious to. I'm not even really sure of the schedule. I'm extremely curious to see how the Ravens play next week because I'm going to give props where props is due. Every team, it seems like every team that runs into the Steelers squad is kind of out of sorts for like at least 1 or 2 weeks. I mean, it seemed ever since we played them, I felt like our blocking hasn't been good. Our offense has just been out of sorts, plus the injuries.
Offensive line's been really soft.
Yeah, the offensive line has been below average. And I mean, then you see Tennessee this week. Tennessee plays them last week, and then they get beat by the Bengals this week. I understand it's in Cincinnati, but I just don't understand. Like, it just seems out of the ordinary for. I mean, I guess you could slander Baker for this game, but not in this weather. Like 16 to 6, we just got to play. I felt like we played good pass defense. We limited Derek Carr, and ever since the Steelers game, we let James Conner run for 100 yards on us. We let Josh Jacobs run for 100 yards on us, and Giovanni Bernard last week. Decent
he
game.
didn't run for that much, but
he caught passes.
Yeah. I mean, the Cincinnati game was just like a gunslinging game for sure. I mean, they knew the thing is, even if they felt like they were Joe Mixon list, so even if they felt like Giovanni Bernard could carry the load, I think they knew even from the last time that they had played us that our middle and deep back middle. I can't even say it. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. The middle of our defense and back is pretty porous. It's pretty porous. And so, they did a lot of their 4 and 5 wide receiver sets again and just attack the middle, attack the linebackers and safety. So But Jeff, remember how I told you, you don't fix anything when you're winning games and such.
Gotta fix something now.
Yeah, I think this could be a good thing. It could be a very good thing in the sense of, you lose this game and it's like, all right, well, if we had won this game, you probably don't fix anything drastically, but now there's room for you guys to go out and trade for someone with reason. There's reason for you to think of, all right, can Ronnie Harrison and Carl Joseph coexist? One of them plays free
Mm-hmm.
safety, probably Ronnie Harrison, and one of them plays strong safety, and that's Carl Joseph. And you get Sendejo out of there because, again, the touchdown to Henry Ruggs, I believe it was, that got called back, Sendejo was on him, wide open. I was super surprised to see that one didn't come back and get ruled a touchdown. But and then you, with the linebackers, you need to decide. All right, is Mac Wilson 100%? All right, he's got to stay in there the entire game. He can't come out. Is Jacob Phillips a better middle linebacker than BJ Goodson? All right, he's got to start. And you just got to find guys and take chances on, all right, is this going to improve our defense? Is this going to change what we do? And go with it, because at this point, this defense is going to keep us from winning games. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
This team doesn't get and they'll say it every week, is this defense's identity is getting turnovers. All right, when you don't get any turnovers,
We
you know what
lose.
your identity is? It's a team that lets up running yards for days and easy passes to tight ends and wide receivers in the middle of the defense.
I mean, you kind of said this in the preview. Obviously, this is a big game. We're at home. We would love to beat the Raiders, who now have the head-to-head versus us, but we still have the head-to-head versus the Colts. So, that's kind of upside. And the Ravens picking up another loss this week, and the Titans picking up another loss. I mean, the next 3 games for the Ravens is at the Colts, at the Patriots, and then at home against the Titans. So, I mean, talk about the Browns getting a bye week probably at the best time. Hopefully, you even said like you would love to beat the Raiders, but if we could split versus the Raiders and the Texans, that's pretty good. We're going to get Nick Chubb hopefully back, and we're hopefully going to get Wyatt Teller back versus the Texans, which I believe is another home game. So, I mean, it's going to be a tall task, a tall order to defend Deshaun Watson and some of their offensive pieces, which aren't as good as they were last year, but still, I mean, just we need this bye week really bad.
Yeah, the next 2 games are home games. That's why I would have liked to have been able to
Right.
keep the win streak at home alive, but
Yep.
just got to reset and beat a poor Texans team that obviously their record is. These next these 3 teams, the Raiders, the Texans, and the Eagles, I think are all better than what their records show. I think the Raiders, again, you toss a coin up in this game and it could go either way, but
There's a
Texans are
couple there's a couple drop balls in this game, and a couple this game could have been totally different, on a different day.
yeah, NFL is a game of yards and inches, and like if we said in that first week, I think there were a couple plays too back then, but especially this week, a lot of plays that they go our way, and it's a different game. It's a very
Yep.
different game. Who knows? I mean, that first drive, I'll never be able to get over the fact that you don't fumble. We were driving,
Mm-hmm.
and
A
you could
great
have.
drive, actually. Stefanski, that's probably the best drive from Stefanski all game long, and I thought Baker was in a great rhythm. Besides the fact that we had a couple of receptions behind the line of scrimmage, I mean, I thought he was in a good rhythm. I
I think
thought he
his
was,
first throw was bad. I think it
yeah, I
was
thought he
like,
was playing. I thought he was making decent. His mind was decent. I thought he wasn't making terrible throws.
yeah, it had a couple times where he decided to tuck it and run. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to the Texans after the bye week. I think they're pretty banged up. Hopefully, you can put together a healthy 2 weeks of rest and game planning, and come back home and win this game, and then just build upon that. Because at this point, you're 5-3. It's you're 1 game back from what your win record
Yep.
was last year. So it's good. There's a lot of good to be talked about, but for
Hmm.
this game in particular, you got to kind of just take it on the chin, and at least it's not getting blown out by the Steelers or getting blown out by the Ravens again. So weird number that No, never mind. I thought we lost that Steelers game by 6 too, but we lost the Ravens game by 6. But yeah, I mean, that's it. That's it for me, Jeff, on this one. But how about you?
I mean, it's just so frustrating because through 8 games, we've never been 5-3. We've never been
Yeah.
5-3 through 8 games. We're halfway through the year.
Winning record.
Winning record, we're 5-3. We're going into the bye literally halfway through the season. We have the Texans, we have the Eagles, we have the Jaguars. I don't think people really understand how average our schedule is to end the season.
It's the easiest schedule in the NFL.
It's the easiest, but I think there's some records in there that those teams aren't as bad as their records think, especially the Texans.
There's a lot of teams selling too.
Yeah, the Texans and the Eagles, I think, are a lot better than what their record indicates. But I think your hardest game left on the schedule, just depending on, especially if the Steelers keep winning, I think we have to kind of root for the Steelers to keep winning because hopefully they have a concrete seeding by week 16 and they don't play anyone. I think that's kind of underrated at this point. But I think that, the Texans and at the Titans are probably your two hardest games left, but it's just kind of frustrating that we're 5-3, 8 weeks through, and the AFC is so good. I mean, you got the Steelers, you got the Ravens, you have the Titans, you have the Chiefs, the Bills are pretty good, so I think just keep the faith, and hopefully this is probably the biggest week of the season, and we're not even playing because hopefully we get Nick Chubb back, and hopefully we get Wyatt Teller back, probably the best offensive lineman in the league, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, hopefully get all the guys back that we can. Maybe finally get Greedy off of the IR.
Yeah, Phillips and Greedy. Dude, imagine this defense, Phillips, Greedy, and Delpit.
3 LSU guys.
Yeah.
All of our LSU guys are hurt for some reason.
Crazy.
Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry.
That's 2020. Dudes. That's 2020 with no preseason. I'd love to see this year compared to like previous years for injuries, just like in general.
Oh, it's probably nuts. Hopefully Miles is okay. I think he's fine because he was able to play. But yeah, I think, obviously 5-3, still nothing to be freaking out about. Tough loss, but we'll take it and move on. So, Jeff, I think next week or sometime between now and the next game, we'll maybe talk about if something happens on Tuesday, and we'll bring in one of your roommates that I can hear in the background.
Yep, we'll get some Steelers fans on for this week.
Absolutely,
it's a bye week.
Yeah, so we'll check in on one of those guys and see what they have to say about their Steelers and being undefeated. That's going to be a podcast I don't look forward to, if I'm being honest, but it's fine. That's fine. All right. We gotta have some, we gotta have some insider views on some things. So, yep. But all right, everyone, thank you very much for watching and listening. I will get this out as soon as possible. As always, if you can share with your friends and family, and keep the faith, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.